What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss a very interesting theory I thought of a few days ago, and that is Han the real villain or the true villain of Fast and Furious 9 / even Fast and Furious 10, depending on where they take this? Now, this could be very, very interesting. I kind of want to walk you through my thought process and at least some of the hints that we could have to suggest, maybe Han coming back. It's a phenomenal thing. Justice for Han, hashtag Justice for Han, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, could he actually be the bad guy? Now, here's the deal. There's obviously a lot we don't know. We don't know necessarily how he's brought back. There's theories. There's people making videos. There's people saying, like, how Han is alive or how did Han survive. All those kind of things. At the end of the day, we are not sure until the movie comes out. The number one thing, one of the things I want to point out to you guys is something interesting me and Tyler noticed from the posters. Now, I just want to kind of come out in front of this and say this. This could be literally nothing. But it could be a clue, honestly, in plain sight. Could very well be. Could also be absolutely nothing. If you look at all of the posters, both the standalone posters of everybody for Fast 9 and then also even the one where they're all together, everybody's facing you. Everybody's facing you, except for Han, who's facing backwards. Now, again, that could mean absolutely nothing, but it could actually be kind of symbolism as, like, Han's turned his back on them, right? The fact that maybe, and again, I've seen people say maybe Dom went back for Han and he staged the funeral and all that kind of stuff so that Jason Statham's character, Shaw, wouldn't know, stuff like that. So maybe Dom knew all along, and in which case there really would be no ill will towards them. But also we have the mysterious voice in Hobbs and Shaw, kind of the grand master of all of this stuff, right, behind all those genetically engineered programs, who I believe, again, is like a head of Cypher. So even in this movie, even if we say Han's the good guy, right, he joins back, which we know he joins back up with them, but that doesn't mean he has to stay with them the whole time. But in my opinion, it's, John Cena's character, Jacob, then Cypher, so he's kind of like a side character, Cypher, who could be the main villain the entire time of Fast 9, but then the mysterious voice, whoever that guy, that electronic voice is, he would be the overall villain, right? Whether Cypher betrays him, it becomes a good person as well, and then they take him on in Fast 10, and a lot of people have thrown around who that could be, and even since Hobbs and Shaw, there were really two people that people jumped to immediately as to who that could be. And the first one was Kurt Russell's character, right? Mr. Nobody. That was somebody that a lot of people threw out as like, hey, he's kind of this guy who you don't really know much about, obviously even considering his name, right? We don't know much about him. He obviously he seems like a good guy, but he could very much be hiding quite a bit of stuff, is very easily could be a double cross. And I think, if you're asking me personally, I do feel like I'd put it more that he would be him rather than Han, but Han was the second person, right? Han was the person people said, well, it could be him. Another thing is when I threw around the idea that maybe Giselle could come back, right, and that she could be genetically engineered, the fact that if she does survive, she probably couldn't survive without a little bit of help, and maybe she would be evil, right? Maybe she'd have that thing in her head that'd be able to control her, much like the villain of Hobbs and Shaw. So, could Han be the same case? Again, it just depends on how they bring him back. Was he saved like normally where he really wasn't all that banged up, or was he in like critical condition and he needed to have some sort of like engineering work done to him? Because if he did, then we can very easily connect him to basically the whole Hobbs and Shaw thing of like, well, he could very well be bad. So there's honestly a lot of ways. The poster is one, again, having his back turned whereas everybody else is back, or everybody else is facing you. Again, that could be nothing, but why is he the only one that's turned? Like, I get, and he also has the thing for Justice for Han, which is awesome. I like that, but again, just very different from everybody else. And when you do those kind of things, there are sometimes hints in those posters, right? And just in general, you even look at Star Wars, the poster, and they took this out of the movie, by the way, but C-3PO had the bowcaster because in the movie he was supposed to develop like evil intentions, and it was supposed to, or like anger problems, and he was supposed to use the bowcaster against First Order troopers, and that they took that out of the movie, but that was originally filmed. So like the poster that he had, the bowcaster, which is on calendars, it's on puzzles, it's on all kinds of Episode 9 merchandise, ended up not being in the film, but it did mean something. At some point, that did mean something. So the fact that his back is turned to us could honestly mean something in the long run. And the final thing, and this could also, again, be nothing, but they talk a lot about what the movie is, right? And Vin Diesel himself, has even talked about how in Fast 9, it's about, I think even Justin Lin has talked about it, it's about taking the family and really twisting it on its head. Now, the family concept, I should say. Now, with Fast 8, they kind of also did that as well, right? Because, you know how important the family is to Dom, but he has to turn his back on them to work with Cypher. But very early in the movie, in fact, almost immediately, the trailers were pretty misleading, but that was obviously on purpose. That did he really betray them? But then you find out there's a lot of reasons why he's doing it, and he doesn't, he's not doing it because he wants to be bad, right? So they already kind of did that, but now in 9, he's talked about again family and how far we're willing to take it, and really turning it upside down. And as of right now, I feel like that's referring, obviously, to Jacob, to John Cena, right? Because they're brothers, they're blood-related brothers, and yet all he wants to do is take down Dom, right? So that's kind of the story, that's the framing that they're talking about it. But what if it meant more than just that, right? Because I've made videos in the past. I made a video last week about John Cena that I think he'll eventually just become good. I think that's one of the easiest things to predict about. If there's anything you can predict about Fast 9, I think it's that eventually he'll become good by the end of the movie, right? And whether Cypher stays good or bad, that'll be debatable. But I think no matter what, I think John Cena will join the good guys by the end of it. So again, if the whole concept of it is how far you're willing to take this family aspect, well, wouldn't it be something if a person that you would never suspect of turning their backs, and not just turning their backs, but being a main villain that they may even have to kill, literally take out, would be Han, someone who's been with us for a very, very long time, somebody that literally everybody wanted back because we wanted him to join back up. And wouldn't it be something if the person that we've wanted to come back and wanted to do all this kind of stuff, what if he joined the good guys, the family again, and he actually betrayed them because he's the overseer, he's the main villain of the entire thing, right? Of Hobbs and Shaw, of Fast 9, of Fast 10. What if that's him? That would be, and again, I'm not saying that it is him. I think the more I talk about it, the more I would like to see if that could if that happened, it would be mind-blowing. It would also kind of throw my theory of him and Giselle having a spin-off series together. I don't know if you could necessarily do that if he's the main villain and you have to take him down, something like that. Maybe again, if we take what I was talking about with Giselle, and other people in the comments did mention this with Giselle, again, if she is, if they do something, and I'm only assuming that they're bringing Gal Gadot back, which I really hope they do, but if they do something like that with a mind control kind of thing, if they did that with Han, I guess we could actually have it the best of all the worlds, right? Where here's the situation. Jacob becomes good by the end of Fast 9. Cypher is a coin flip, right? She could stay good, stay bad. The mysterious voice is Kurt Russell. Han comes back, but he did have some sort of engineering work done to him where he is evil only because of the same situation that Hobbs and Shaw had. Then you bring Giselle back, either in the end of 9 or in 10, and she also has the same thing, but you're very aware of it. Eventually, you find out Han is bad, but you find a way to deactivate the thing where you take down the main villain, whatever that mysterious voice is, whether it's Kurt Russell or whether it's somebody else. You take out the mysterious voice, Han and Giselle turn back to being good, and then and then you end Fast 10, everybody's together, you bring Brian back, all that kind of stuff. They all have their barbecue in the backyard, and then you can have your spin-off movies. You have the all-female spin-off movie, you have Han and Giselle spin-off movie, and you have another Hobbs and Shaw, maybe you have a John Cena movie. You have all of those things. Honestly, that is the best way, maybe not the best, because I think you'd still, I'd want stakes to it, so I would want somebody to be killed off, or I'd want there at least to be some sort of, feeling that, something could go wrong, or you're going to lose somebody, or something like that. So, I would overall probably want it a little bit more improved than that, but if you're in it for the everybody lives, happily ever after, and family is most important, and the family sticks together no matter what, if you're into that, which I am, I would just also like a couple stakes involved, but if you're into that, I don't really see how it can get any better, right? You take out the villains, some villains become good again, or good in general. Some people that you thought were good but were actually bad but were kind of mind-controlled-ish, they become good again. You bring people back from the dead in Han and Giselle, and they're fine. Stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't get more sci-fi than that, right? And it honestly, again, in a way, in terms of the quote-unquote perfect ending, or a happily ever after, that really, it doesn't get much better than that. So I don't know. I mean, I can honestly see it both ways. I can see Han being the main villain. I think that would also be kind of a stretch. So at the same time, I could see him being a Hobbs and Shaw kind of thing where he's just kind of controlled, where he's taking orders from somebody else, only he really doesn't have a lot to say about it, right? Like, he has to do it. I could also very well see that happening. But the more I think about it, the more I think Han probably won't be purely good for all of Fast 9. But guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that the poster, do you think the talk about family, do you think the whole connection with Hobbs and Shaw and that kind of like the genetic engineering, do you think that's enough to build an argument that Han may actually be a villain in Fast 9? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. When I think of a new Fast 9 theory, discussion, anything like that, when there's news dropping on Fast and Furious 9, I'll be here to cover it. So if you guys like Fast and Furious, which we've gotten quite a few people that are into it, make sure you guys stick with this channel because loads of Fast and Furious content coming up leading into Fast 9 releasing in May, and we'll be covering it in May as well, both before and after the movie is out. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.